When I was thinking about your process, I was thinking, I wonder if he does what David Lynch does.
I mean, I love David Lynch, but I didn't know his process exactly. I think it's also the David Lynch meme that he's always like so passionate about the idea, or when you lose an idea, you want to kill yourself, stuff like this. And I do really associate with this. So it's funny that even in our process, like we basically operate similarly, which I didn't know. But, yeah.
Welcome to the No Budget Film Podcast. I'm Ivan.
And I'm Kirill. And today we have a special guest on the podcast, QUIRIJN DEES. And he's an animator and a director and a sound designer, right, in the Netherlands. And we used to study together in Lucerne at the Lucerne School of Film, and it's like a long name, but
HSLU.
HSLU, that's right. Yeah. So we saw some of your projects and films that you sent us, and it's interesting to me. We saw that you started by studying sonology. So you were interested in sound before you were interested in animation and film. Is that right?
True, yeah. So I think if we go way back in my teens, I started, well, even before my teens, when I was 9, I started just I played keyboard, and I started making my own little melodies and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is fun. And then when I was, I think 14 or 15, I got the best birthday gift ever, which was Fruity Loops, which is like a composing or producing program. So I started making music on the computer, and then I became more and more involved in this. I started also being interested in sound design, and from that I started looking into possibilities and where I could continue studying audio and audio techniques. And sonology, I would say, was a pretty experimental program with a lot of avant-garde electronic music, but also it was pretty free. There were also installations or people that worked on very technical aspects. There was also programming related to music. So it was quite diverse. And it was a pretty weird program for me to start. But then after that, or during that program, actually, I started wanting to also do more audiovisual stuff, working with drawings that I made. And that's kind of how I started, at the very beginning, started animating, basically.
Mm-hmm. So you always, in music, your interest was more in electronic music?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I did start off with keyboards, and I still played until I was 18. I had lessons, and I also used that a lot. But it was very much, I liked the freedom of electronic music because you can do a lot with synthesizing sounds. And so that became a specific interest of mine in the end. Yeah.
Were there some specific artists that you listened to, or that you tried to emulate or take as inspiration also, or
musicians?
Music-wise, yeah, music-wise.
It's a good question because do you mean when I started off?
I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I started off, I had because when I was 15, my music taste was super different from what I listen to now. But when I was 15, I enjoyed. It was kind of the beginning of EDM trap music. I really liked that, and hip hop stuff also. So it was really, I was into beats, but then also I had a very heavy dubstep phase. I was really into that. And
so Skrillex probably also.
Sorry?
Skrillex also probably, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Skrillex was for me one of the major ones. And then there's some other ones. Dr. P and Zomboy, and they're all like very dubstep kind of people. Yeah, I think, but you also, that's I think something that every producer or any creative person basically does, is you also transition. So those were my first kind of inspirations. I always tried to make dubstep, and I never succeeded in doing it. I found it very difficult, but I don't know. I made trap music but also other EDM stuff.
But to say that,
mainly,
just because I don't know if Kirill, if you ever listen to dubstep yourself, or like if you a bit know about, because it's something personally knowing Kirill is different from what he usually listens to.
It's really difficult for me imagining Kirill listening to dubstep.
Exactly, but actually, like when I think about, that classic Skrillex album cover, like with Skrillex written in like that electronic digital vibe. I don't know if you know it. I can show you later, or we can pop it on the screen. But actually, I don't know. Looking at your films, I mean, I see the connection somehow. It's not too far away. It's much closer to that world than, I don't know, to David Guetta, for example. You see that you came from there. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah. No, I think, for sure. I understand what you mean, especially if you look within an EDM kind of setting. I think so too, that there's more of like a connection to Skrillex than there would be of like a Martin Garrix or Hardwell or David Guetta. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But we noticed that in your films, the music was usually done by someone else, and you usually did the sound design. But were you thinking of doing the music in the beginning, and then maybe it was too much work, like because you also did other things, like including directing and animation, or like why did you move away from music, or how was it?
It's a good question. I think I usually did start off with actually wanting to do the music myself, and I remember. So it's slightly separate stories for both films, Puber Jimbob and Symbionts. For Puber Jimbob, I had like a very old musical work in mind that I wanted to actually use as a theme for like a specific moment. It's like at some point Puber Jimbob is going back home, and you have the music playing and you see his face. It's like cuts. It does jump cuts with his face in front of the screen, and or in front of the camera. But that music was actually initially I thought would be something that I made myself, and during the process of making the film, I just randomly listened to a very old piece of music that a friend of mine made. And when I heard it, I already always had like a very cinematic feeling with it, but I thought it would be something different than what would happen in Puber Jimbob. But when I actually listened to it at a random moment in the process of making that film, I thought this would actually fit better with that part than my own musical piece that I had in mind. And so I asked him about it, and he was completely fine with me using it. And then it ended up kind of becoming the intro theme, the part that I talked about, and then also the ending theme. So in the end, it became. I happened to stumble upon like a piece that fitted better. Then also in Puber Jimbob, there's actually one very short scene in which, or like a scene that takes place in this office building, and you have somebody calling Puber Jimbob, and there's some ominous music in there, and that's just something I very quickly made myself actually. Okay. But it's not really the main theme. It's like a little piece, but I knew kind of what I needed because I wanted something ominous, and I very quickly made it to fit that. But,
Okay.
So kind of like part of the idea, I guess, developed also from this musical piece that you had. I mean, of the film, or like how did you go about this idea? Like, did you write it? Did you make a script and then you thought, okay, I want to do it in this specific style, or like how? Because it's something so strange. I mean, I wouldn't have ever imagined that you can make a film like this, and but I found it very anyway, like very easy to follow. Like it was at some point you just forget, but that like it's in this kind of like, how do you say it, abstract style, you know, you just like get into the narrative and it's just fine. It's just so interesting. How do you develop an idea like this?
Before you say that, just like one or two sentences about what the film is about, just so the viewers know.
Yeah, of course. So, Puppet Jim Bob is basically a film about a sort of normal guy that gets lured out of his home, and he goes on a very strange adventure, encounters many very strange situations, and he finds a sort of lump with a mouth, and he that's called Nadine, and he needs to help her, and that's it, I think.
Hey, wacht eens even. Stop! Hey!
Oh, that's a good. I mean, sounds easy. It's not.
It's to summarize it, I would say like there's a lot going on.
Like the lighter. But anyway, yeah.
But yeah, you were. So Ivan asked about the process.
Yeah, the process of developing the idea. For something like this.
Yeah, so actually, so this was my bachelor's graduation project from KASK, which I studied at in Ghent in Belgium, and the assignment we had before this project was more like it was more like we had some parameters. We had like what do you call it, like. We had quite a specific assignment, and in the end I wasn't super happy with the results that I made from that, and I felt like I didn't make what I wanted to make. And then this final graduation project is free, and it was like, okay, now I really want to be able to just express a lot of ideas that I have in this film. So I basically, at that point already, I've been keeping lists of random ideas that I had for film or whatever. They could be sketches or ideas of like camera shots, but also situations or combination of like what maybe an image with a sound could be. Super random ideas basically, but ones that I did like, I stored them, and I also have like a name. I still keep it, and I also have like a name of lists, or like a list of names and a list of dialogues that I also similarly write down. And so basically, I thought for my graduation project, I want to just try to compress as many of these ideas that I have from the list into one single film. And I knew I would have a guy, kind of like a average guy, take this journey. That journey could then be used as like a what do you call it, like a container of all these situations.
All these ideas, yeah.
And you would kind of stumble from one situation into the next. And this was basically my initial idea, and it was I then start like curating the ideas that I found in my lists and the ones that I felt very passionate about. Some don't still like, however weird the story already is, like some also just are very difficult to match still. So I still took out some and tried out others. And then also once I had like a very like bare structure or skeleton of what the journey would look like, it also caused me to like it inspired me also to like write in between what could happen in between different situations. So that's basically the way I came about the story. But I have to say also at some point it looked completely different from what it became now. It had like a whole meta narrative also about like at some point people Jimbo would like see the film itself in a cinema and in the end I did like a test recording of all the dialogue I'd written for that script basically, and I came to like 17 minutes. And that's when the teachers told me like, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Well, but you managed to make 15. I mean, anyway, 15 for a bachelor film animation is like crazy.
Yeah. We had a limit for like 3 or 4 minutes in our school.
Really? There's
for
a
the
limit?
bachelors. Yeah. For the masters, I think there's no. I mean, there's a limit anyway. There's a limit anyway for. I guess if you want to have the sound being made at school by the teachers.
True, yeah.
Otherwise, you have to have it done by someone else external. I think at the bachelors we had like 3 or 4 minutes. A few people made like 5 minutes. They managed to negotiate.
I'm not sure I even ever saw such a long animated short film. Like 15 minutes.
You haven't seen a lot of animation.
Well, anyway, it's true. No, it's often point of critique that he tells to me. But also aside from that, like the whole process, because when we finished, like for me it was first time clearly to watch this film. He, I think, saw it many times already, but he told me that it reminded him of David Lynch a bit, of this kind of experimental films.
Yeah, when I was thinking about your process, I was thinking maybe I wonder if he does what David Lynch does, where he explains, I have these cards and I write some scenes, and
that's
if you
just
have
it.
enough cards, like you have, I don't know, 100 something cards, and you put it all together, you have a film. And I was thinking if that was sort of your way of doing it, but you like you said,
it's just the way,
you kind of put together all these ideas you have in mind, right?
It's funny. I mean, I love David Lynch, but I didn't know his process exactly. But so he works with cards and then uses those cards to make his film.
That's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. Basically.
That's what he also suggests. Like, this is what he recommends in his interviews when people ask, like, how would you write a film? And he said, well, just take like an idea, an image, and write it down, and then put together all these cards. Like, you have to have 40 scenes. So if you have 40 cards. Yeah, I think that's what he said. Like, then you have a film, which is an interesting way of putting it, because then you have to sort of make it all coherent, and
which is exactly what you just described. You did. So I mean, you just discovered the David Lynch method through your experience. It's really interesting.
Thank you also for pointing this out, because I always felt very connected. Like the kind of, I think it's also the David Lynch meme that he's always like so passionate about the idea, or when you lose an idea, you want to kill yourself, stuff like this. And I do really associate with this. So it's funny that even in our process, like we basically operate similarly, which I didn't know, but yeah.
Well, but actually also, how did you manage to make 15 minutes of animated film? Like, I understand that probably you didn't have to like polish the film as much as they probably did, or I mean, as you probably also did on the other film, or as you would do on another kind of project. maybe that gave you the time to put this narrative. Like, how much time did it take to you to make these things, and like how did you go with it with also the timing? Because I guess you also had like 6 months maybe to make the film or something.
Yeah, it was 6 months basically. Which it was I will admit it was a very chaotic process. But I think what really gave me the time to make this was the technique, which is because it's like 3D and 2D, but it's, for instance, making the characters in this technique is very simple because I have a very simple mesh that I just slap two drawings on, a front drawing and a back drawing of the character. And then I did the facial animation using kind of rotoscoping and morphing together. It's called EBSynth, and it's like this specific morphing tool that uses video footage to kind of morph in between keyframes that you draw over the video footage that you took of the actors. Okay. So I use those. That's also why if you look at the facial animation, it's kind of like you have like, it jumps and it jitters a bit, and it's a bit strange, and that's
But it helps the style. I mean, it's
and I was wondering how you did that, because it kind of looks like as if I don't know if somebody watching ever animated on Adobe Animate, where you can sort of draw something and then you create another keyframe where it's a different position, and you can create like in betweens where it sort of transforms into the next shape. And sometimes it looks like it with like the eyes or like the mouth. But that's I don't know about this technique. Is it like a specific software for that as well?
Yeah, it's called EBSynth software, right. And it's I think the kind of style is very it's like very corresponded to just this software, basically, I think, because you have this morphing indeed, but it's also morphing based on the video footage that's used as a basis. I think if you look on YouTube, you can find creators like Joel Haver and Goat on a Stick. They both use that software very like they use it a lot in their animated work, where I think Joel Haver is like live action and animation. Code on a Stick is, I think, just animation, but it's kind of, you also notice like they can't do too much movements because like it will like warp and it looks super strange, but it also works because they're both more like sketch, kind of silly, quite funny, I think, sketch channels. So I think it works with what they do. I think it's also how I found it, basically, okay. About how I found out about this technique.
But it also kind of I don't know, reminded me of the cutout animation technique, which I think is what you started with, right? When you got interested in animation.
Yeah, that's true. So that was still in sonology, actually, when I was doing more sounds than animation. It's because I remember when I was like 15, also when I started making music, basically, I also started fiddling around with After Effects, like a cracked version of After Effects. And I basically used it more for like to record videos with friends and put like effects on it, like gunshots, gun muzzles, and like stuff like in blood and stuff like this. And I used it for like a couple of months, and at some point I didn't really bother anymore. And so when I wanted to, or when I felt the urge to make more audiovisual work during my studies during sonology, I thought back, or like I remembered I still have After Effects. I can try it out, see if it works to make animations. And so that's basically, I threw like a bunch of drawings in there that I made, cut them out in Photoshop, and then started doing digital cutout animation. And yeah, those were my first kind of experiments with animation. I never really did the actual physical cutout animation, but I really loved the style. And it's kind of stupid I never did it, but I started off digitally and then went more into 3D later.
Cutout is like when you have. It's like you cut a character out and you animate, or
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Like South Park. It's like a
South Park is made like that. Okay,
it was made like that. Now it's all digital, I think.
Probably.
The first episodes or the first season, I think, maybe was done like
so
that.
it's different pieces of paper that move. It's like okay, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that South Park was. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's an old technique that isn't. I think it's not used as much nowadays. Maybe
so it's stop motion
digitally,
basically, no?
It is a way of doing stop motion.
Okay.
But now it's all kind of done digitally. Most things are. But how did you get into 3D afterwards?
So I finished my studies at Sonology. I started studying animation at KUSK. And there I tried out like the first year. I don't know how it is at Hazeloo, but the first year for us was a very exploratory year. So we had to make very small things every couple of months. And we had to do a lot of these experiments basically with techniques. And we were not really forced in any direction, but we were given the freedom to try out different possibilities with animation. And so a friend of my roommate with whom I lived in Ghent at that time, he came over and he was using Blender, and he basically sold it to me. He gave like a little speech talking about how great it was, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to try it out. And then I became more and more interested in using it, and I started trying to combine cutouts with Blender, and that's basically I had like multiple iterations of in this kind of exploration where like one was really like animated, like very simple animated cutouts, things digital in from After Effects that I put into Blender. The next one was more elaborate animations, and I started animating a bit more in Blender as well. And then the last, or if you could say, Puber Jimbop was like maybe the last iteration of this exploration where it's almost fully animated in Blender except for the facial animation.
Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because I now tell like I always recognize this, but I kind of basically just realized that it did kind of ramp up in the from cutout to Blender or 3D.
But then eventually you kind of stuck with 3D more than 2D, right? And digital cutout. Is there like a specific preference for like CGI that you found then that you didn't sort of have for maybe the other techniques?
I don't know if it's a very like, what do you call it? If it's a very if I'm very conscious of what or at first maybe what I liked about using 3D or CGI, I was kind of just interested in the possibilities that Blender would give me. And the thing is that I also didn't really like animating in After Effects that much, and kind of grew to hate it more and more. And so I also wanted, I was just curious to learn about other possibilities in animating. I also tried 2D animation in the first year in the exploratory period, and though I like it. It's just so much drawing, and I'm not like, I like drawing, but I don't like, the thing is, I usually like drawing something once, and I feel like usually I cannot, in like the drawing that comes out, somehow I feel like it's always the best one, and if I try to repeat it, it never gets better, according to me. So I felt like it didn't really connect to me as an animation technique, because in the end you need to endure a lot of effort and time with any animation technique, and for me it didn't really work. Yeah, it didn't really work that well. Also, I'm not like a super technical drawer. I'm more like a free kind of very scribbly drawer.
But also, I mean, coherent with the process of having many ideas, and not because it's also something I always like think. How can, for example, Kirill work on just drawing for 6 months straight, and you just have to redraw the same character again and again and again, and I even think like you have to have such a patience to do it that I also don't see in your method, let's say, compared to his, which makes sense. I completely understand you on this one.
Yeah, definitely, because I also in the first year. We also had a lot of experimentation, and we had to make a project in 2D, another one in stop motion, another one in CGI, and there were like a few other courses that you could take and make some smaller projects in any of these techniques. I never fully kind of liked the other ones. It was because I always liked the drawing, and so to me that always seemed like the natural course of events. But also it is very interesting to me that you say that like your first drawing is sort of better than any other drawing like down the line, but for me it's sort of the opposite. I always feel the need, even if I don't know, maybe I want to make like a short comic or something, or an illustration, I almost want to do an animation of that character first, because then I sort of memorize that character so much that I don't have to look at the what the design is supposed to be, and I sort of internalize it so much that it gets easier to draw it afterwards. So to me, that's sort of almost essential. I would say.
I understand. No, I think maybe you like practicing. Like as a what do you call, like as an activity. Way more than I do. I think you have way more patience with this kind of getting like to know something that is like you spend a lot of time what do you call it, like crafting your style and crafting your characters, and very carefully kind of getting to a point where you can like do the full animation. Then you still do the full animation, which is like that requires a lot of patience. So also hats off anyway. Like I think it's very impressive.
Hats off to you as well, because I couldn't do what you do. Just also the way, just how to think about a story. I could never think about a story the way you do it, like your process. And that's why I'm very fascinated by that, and anybody who can make a story like that, where it's not a process where you have the first act, second act, third act, and then you make the storyboards, and then you make this and that. Like it's sometimes I sort of envy this sort of free process where you can think of these things and unite them.
But he kinda has it anyway. I mean, even though maybe he doesn't start there, like in the end, the film has a cycle, or both films. That's what we noticed. Actually, I don't know if you thought about it prior to that, but I mean, it makes sense anyway. There's a beginning, there's a development, and there's an end. Which I mean,
but the way he comes to that conclusion is very different from the way we do it.
It's true. It's also something that I struggle with. For example, we share this kind of like way of working. That's also why we made some films together, and And yeah, it's for example, I don't know, even in like commercial projects or anything, I struggle to make something that is just starting from, for example, an aesthetic or just an idea that doesn't have like this act. I don't know why. It's just that it's hard. I start to maybe to think, what will others think? Like, will they understand it? Will it be clear enough? And maybe you just have this, you just can like cut off this filter for a moment, and then in the end you just like switch it on again, as you said, and think, okay, maybe I have to remove this idea, just because it's something that frees creativity. So maybe then you can do like something which is more in your way of doing stuff.
Yeah, maybe, but I also think that there's not a right or wrong way. I think also the more I think it's a more, what do you call it, more of like a traditional pipeline way of like working, where in the end I think also it's a very what do you call it, like a very good way to make films. And it also, I think it really depends on what kind of film you want to make, if it makes sense with the process. And I think it's in the end it's very personal in the way you approach film. There's I think there's a lot of opportunities and possibilities, but a more what do you call it, like planned way of making a film. I think it's not for nothing that it's like the most common way to do it, because in the end, if you want to kind of step by step establish a story, it makes sense to first write a full script, then turn that into a storyboard, and you usually also work with a large team, so you can get everybody kind of on board, understanding what it's about, the whole project kind of, and make an animatic. I think it's also probably the most efficient way to do it, though there's like a lot of steps, of course. I think it's, especially when there's teams and large amounts of money involved, it's probably the most safe way to go about it.
It's true.
And I think I think also the process is very tied to the type of project you want to make in the end. Yeah,
and the production, as you said, because exactly, if you have also a producer, for example, you have to at least be able to explain what you're doing.
Communicate.
Exactly.
Were your film, I think, was Symbiance produced by a company, or was it?
No, it was actually just part of like the school was the production, which
And your first film also?
Yeah.
Okay, but you worked with distribution companies for both of them, right? Afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
What is it like? How do you why did you choose to have that, and how do you sort of, I don't know, get into that? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I have to say I've been very lucky to get involved with them. So firstly, I started. So I finished making Puber Jimbo. I wanted to still tweak some small things. I redid the audio a bit later after graduating, and then I used the Annecy submission deadline as like a deadline for me to just finish the film. And I was like, okay, I have to send it into Annecy at least. And then it's also finished. That's going to be the final version. That's it. And so I sent it in. Then I was very surprised it got selected. And after that, I talked to a teacher, ex-teacher of mine at that point, Brecht, who also actually has a production company, Animal Tank, in Belgium. And we talked a bit about like how to approach festival strategy with my film. And he, at some point during the conversation, just said like, "Hey, I can propose your project to Miu Distribution, I've worked with them, and I think maybe your film could. I mean, we can always try. And I was like, yes, please. And and then I was very surprised to actually that they wanted it. So then we started working together on the strategy, and and of course they mainly proposed like a strategy, and we discussed it a bit, and and then for Symbionts I proposed Symbionts to Miu again, just before I really finished making it. And I mean, in the end, like they did not want it because it's it's like much more abstract and it's more experimental than QUIRIJN is, and so they felt like it didn't really fit their catalog. And I already kind of figured it would probably be a bit like a weird one in their catalog, but they did suggest some other distributors, and I actually got into contact with. I contacted Vanja from Bonobo Studio, which is a distributor in Zagreb in Croatia, and she liked it, and then we started working together on that one. So I've been very lucky to have the connections, and
So they help you find the right festivals for your films, and also like find streaming platforms, or like where to put your film.
So I think for both QUIRIJN and Symbionts, it's not easy to probably find like any deals with streaming platforms or anything, but they do have, so they do help with that as well. And then I think for both films, what is most important is the festival run that they help with. So you basically talk a bit about the film. They think about like what festivals would like it. They set up a festival strategy, and and then they do the submissions for you as well. And also if you get approached by other festivals, or I don't know, maybe like sometimes there will be like an exhibition space or some other event that saw your film, they will also handle that. Maybe. And they will also think about like how do we do it with premiere status and stuff like that.
Okay. And Symbionts also got selected at NBF recently, we saw.
Yes.
All right, congrats.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And many other festivals, like I think it's already been shown at a bunch of festivals before, NBF now. How has the festival run been so far? Have you visited any of these festivals? How was the film received?
So Symbionts had its premiere at Kurzfilmtage Winterthur in November, and it was very nice to be there. I think it's funny for me to I first QUIRIJN, which is a film that I think gets a lot of audience reaction, either because it's like gross or because it's funny, or like, so there's a lot of, I can really sense kind of the reaction of the audience during the film, or how it's being perceived. And with Symbionts, it's a very abstract film, it's a very abstract journey, and so there's basically barely any reaction, and it's very difficult to sense it, which was for me like something to get used to. Is like, I don't know what people are like, if people are enjoying it or not, what they are thinking. but I have to say there was one. I was in a very good, very strong program with other very good films, and the actress of one of the other films, she was sitting close by, and when she saw the film, she had to laugh a lot during Symbionts, like almost like. Yeah, like abstract blobs, like I don't know, like merging and stuff, and I was really stoked to actually hear her react like that, because I usually with Pivot Jimbo there's more interaction, and like this time I was like, oh, finally somebody does some there's some indication, I guess. So
did you talk with her about it afterwards?
Yeah. She said, like, I don't know why I found it funny, but I find it hilarious. So I was, in a way, it's a very nice reaction. But no, yeah, I mean, it's still I still talk to some people and they enjoyed it too. So it was nice, but it's still like it was. Of course, I shouldn't be surprised, but it was a bit getting used to. Oh yeah, there's no way to gauge what people are feeling or thinking during the screening, which may I don't know how you feel about how you guys feel about like seeing your own project with the audience, but I get a little bit nervous.
Because you want to know, like, are the people liking it? No, I understand completely.
That's why I like comedies, especially because when I had some comedies, I don't think we made any comedies together, but
we have a couple comical moments in Non Ti Sento, but I don't know if you saw Non Ti Sento.
You were there, right?
Yeah.
At the screening.
Yeah.
Okay. At the screening in Lugano or in Lucerne. In Lucerne. Okay. Just because we didn't met, I think.
Yeah.
But you know that moment where they open the cellar and there are like the wines, and there were a couple at a couple of screenings for sure. Some people laughed and I remember it, but when people don't, I'm like, oh no. That's like
that's a very quick way of knowing. Are people enjoying this film? Because people either find it funny or they don't, and they can't come up to you and come up with like all kinds of interpretations for, oh yeah, I saw this and that. Like you see it immediately and it's very spontaneous. I guess the same as with horror films. I guess if you hear people screaming and fainting, then
running out of the cinema, then it's probably best film.
Very visible reactions.
No, but actually also in this like reacting thing, when people don't laugh in the moment they should laugh, I don't know, when I listen to their feedback afterwards, I don't trust them. I don't think you like it. You can't fool me. Come on. Or like when people react just like texting you after you send the link, they're like, it's good. They're like, okay.
You didn't really watch it, or you watched it 2 times speed maybe or something.
Exactly, and so like, just tell me like it's shit, I don't want to see it.
So what is Symbionts about? How would you summarize it in like sentence?
It's a very good question. It's so basically it's about an abstract biological ecosystem or abstract organic ecosystem, and it's a journey through this ecosystem. I would say so. I think I'm still unsure how open I should keep it, because the initial idea was it's about an alien ecosystem, but I want to abstract it so that it's up for interpretation what these life forms are. But I also actually at my graduation screening I got a lot of comments saying, no, it's like you're being too specific. I never thought about an alien ecosystem. I thought about, I don't know, some AI world, or I thought about this other, what do you call it, like a mycelia reality, like a fungi kind of world, something like this. Yeah. So I would say it's a journey through an abstract organic ecosystem.
Yeah, to me it looked a lot like organs, blood, and like blood veins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean the concept is that. Well, that's a good way to summarize it. I don't know if I could have found 2 sentences to.
Well, he's a director, of course. Is
No.
yeah, it's it is interesting for me to watch it because I saw the whole process. I mean, maybe not the whole process, but like I guess while I was making my film, you were also making it at the Masters, and so I saw a bunch of like updates along the way. And I remember it was a lot more. Sorry.
Yeah, we had to present together.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember it was more like there was. You were developing 2 films at the beginning, weren't you?
True. Yeah, but that was more part of like the fact that was due to the fact that I was also having these classes about screenwriting and character character
Design.
book development or character design, and I thought I can try and like write a script for Symbionts, but it doesn't make super much sense, and like there's no dialogue, so I missed like this whole part of the class. So I thought it would be fun to just try this other parallel project to just learn more from the classes or get more out of it. And so I developed lingual virus. It's called. So it's about a family that somehow contracts a disease or virus that changes their speech into noises, or whether it's like growling or what is there more? I think there's also like a what do you call it? Like vomiting, retching kind of noise. Somebody else has, and like asthmatic breathing noise. So they lose their communication skills and they start making noises together. And that's something I developed specifically for the classes, but then it became like a little side project that I didn't like, just turned into a dossier basically.
Okay,
Interesting.
Yeah. But I guess that project would have been a bit more similar to the nature of QUIRIJN, because Symbionts is sort of, I guess you're still experimenting a lot, but it's more abstract, of course. I wonder, like, why did you decide to move from I guess a more like absurd, surreal comedy to something that is so sort of surreal but less comedic?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like I've always like I feel like I'm a bit slightly as a creator split into 2 different directions. One is more like the absurd, surreal, but very human kind of creative space, and then also a more abstract kind of very technical experimentation direction. I after making QUIRIJN, I thought I would still like to have, like, I think both films have also like in common that there's some sort of journey, which I think that somehow comes back, and I really enjoy that too. But I want to try and make a more abstract film that's kind of that is still strange, but goes more towards, or like treads a ground between abstract and figurative, where you can still you see shapes, you see somehow they interact. There's somehow a world that you're going through basically, but also that allows for very much like technical experimentation, and it becomes. I thought I want to create like an alien world that is up for interpretation, but also that can suggest what life could maybe be, truly kind of departing from, I think, sci-fi tropes, like very human aliens that look basically like us, or aliens that look like animals. or very like, I don't know, aliens with a mouth and eyes, and so I wanted to try out like, what if I make a film about what aliens could potentially be otherwise than just human type aliens.
And what about the sound aspect of this film? Because it's really giving like this slimy vibes. I don't know. I remember I just had something in mind similar to it. It doesn't come to me right now, but I found it very like you could almost feel it.
Yeah, very tactile, I guess.
Yeah, tactile. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to go for like, that was also quite a search. I noticed already, like in making an animatic, that I really that I've like really have a preference for slimy, gooey sounds. But I also wanted to find some kind of sonic space that was also just like the visuals, kind of between abstract and very like concrete, tactile, kind of where it feels like it's a real world, but still there's also space to go away from that. So I used a lot of Foley, but then also used electronic sounds that I made, and I also worked together with the composer Miro, who also actually made that. He also made the tune that I used for Piba Jimbob. So we worked together on this film as well, and and so I wanted to also kind of create I don't know, an in-between space between what would be a figurative or concrete sound and abstract, weird alien sounds. And yeah, in the end, it got very tactile. I think I also during the process just kind of found like this is what I like the most intuitively. But yeah. I don't know if that really answers your question, but
No. But yes, also because it just gives the the right dimension to these creatures, kind of, or.
Thank you.
Yeah, just so abstract. Yeah, exactly. It's just something you couldn't ever. I don't know. It's maybe how I imagine inside my body things to sound like.
Yeah, there's a lot of I know. I heard from somebody. She told me she really hated, like she couldn't stand it. Like
it was too visceral.
Yeah, it was like too visceral for her. Which I also understand. I think I hear other people that really love it or really hate it for that reason. Yeah.
But that's how you make people talk about your film. It has to be polarizing in a way, you know.
I guess, yeah. No, I think that's I agree with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But also another thing that the texture feels very tactile as well. Because of I don't know how did you make this? I think you worked with Nuke, right? Where there are these, it's almost painterly in a way. This sort of technique that you used, and it does go well together with the sound design. How did you make that?
Yeah, so in some white shots, it was just like a painting. Like I thought at some point that he even switched like technique because it looked really like a painting.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's so basically I developed this technique also during the process of making the film. So the basis is 3D. I made it all in Houdini, and then I developed this texturing tool. I also do a bit of creative coding, and I created this tool. It's always difficult for me to explain how it exactly works, but I will try. So basically. What you can do with 3D, or what I did, is you can make multiple render passes. So it's usually you do this, for instance, if an object goes very fast, you can make a render pass that just shows if the velocity of an object is very high, it will get a color. So you have like the normal very normal render output, but you can also then find like there's also this second render that it made with just the objects, but with how fast they're going. That way you can apply motion blur, for instance, later, or you can do like a depth pass that shows how far objects are from the camera, and you can apply focal blurring or a depth of focus. I did this also with I made another pass, a custom pass, that shows the direction of the surface of the 3D object toward the camera. So if it's like slanted this way, it has a different color than if it would be this way or this way or this way. And that way I could then apply like texture on top of it. I used that information to basically apply a texture on top of the 3D, so I then did these renders, and I made a tool that basically reads every outline of a 3D object, then puts like a grid of very small images in it, and then rotates that grid according to the direction of the surface, so that it kind of fakes a 3D space, but it's actually 2D. So it kind of, it follows the curvature of objects, basically. And that way I made like the texturing tool that is basically the very jittery kind of look of the film. But it's a very experimental technique or process that I kind of developed throughout making the film. And I thought, I made it kind of on the basis of wanting to have the 3D, but then wanting to abstract the 3D somehow after doing the render. And so that's how it came to be. I hope it's somewhat clear, but it's
no, for me it's complicated for sure, but it's interesting that you layer these tools that you also made yourself to get these things out of it.
Because I don't tend to experiment a lot with like the software. I just take it the way it is. I don't even use a lot of shortcuts.
No, he doesn't even know they exist. Like, it's crazy.
I just know Control Z and that's it. That's all I need.
But it's like I think your if I'm correct, like I feel like your experimentation is more within like the kind of drawing and look development of the actual kind of how you will draw things. I think also with your graduation film, A Dangerous Virtue, you also looked at, for instance, old traditional Chinese paintings and created like a look out of this, like a style, which I think it's a more hands-on way of experimenting in the end.
Mm-hmm. I take references and sort of make as many iterations of that as I can, just to see what the possibilities are. But I do it within, I guess, the tools that I have. I don't create new tools for it. I guess that would be difficult for me.
Let's say that you just basically, as with ideas, you don't let the tool stand in your way. You just shape it for whatever you need, even though maybe it's not really taught for that. Maybe there was another program for that someone would search for, and like learn, watch tutorials. No, you just like, okay, the program works like this. I'll figure it out. I'll make it work.
I think. Maybe I never thought really that much about it, but I think also
that's the point. That's the point. You just don't care. You just do it.
Somehow I try to bend it more towards something. A style that I like personally, but also I feel like the way that I've come across these styles is a super random process in the end. Like there's so much. Also, this whole tool that I wrote is like the seventh iteration of it started off as like a very simple tool to sample photos so that I could create textures for 3D very quickly, because I wanted to not use Photoshop and cut out everything and then put it together and put together this own 3D texture, or texture that I could then put onto 3D objects. And so I made this tool to very quickly kind of isolate objects, cut them out, and then put these segments together and randomize them. And many versions later, it became this texturing tool that uses 3D renders and places these kind of sampled pictures or something into the 3D renders. So yeah. In the end, I feel like it's just been a lot of exploration and then finding something, I guess.
Yeah, but I like how organic all your animation looks, because that's always sort of been the struggle when people watch a 3D animated film. At least back in the day, people used to say, it looks very digital and so on. And so what became very popular, especially after Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, was to create something that looked like it was sort of drawn. But there's so many ways to still make CGI look organic and look like it was made by a person. And I think you very much achieve that in ways that I would never sort of think about or take for granted.
Thank you.
Probably because it's also authentic. It comes from just a process of your thought, and you say, okay, I want it to be like this, I'll do this too. I make it like this. I mean, it's just interesting because you just don't care about you just want to do it.
You just start doing it and then
exactly, and then okay, actually it came out. No, which is I think it's amazing also. Really it helps.
Thanks.
I don't know if you wanted to ask him. I just wanted to ask about his next projects. Or
No, let's.
Okay. So what's next for you? Any films or projects?
Yeah. So I'm helping out with a bunch of projects, and but for myself, I'm now actually in the process of writing, but also I'm working with a French producer, and this project it's still very early stage, but I basically started a couple of months ago when the French producer, he asked me, do you have any ideas? Maybe we could try and see work together and then send into this deadline that it's in a month or something. And then I was like, I have this random idea that I've been thinking about. Then all of a sudden you need to make a dossier for the application, and it's okay, now I need to get something more concrete. And so that kind of put it into motion. But it's basically it's about somebody that it's about somebody that has a dream that in which he's basically fined, or he gets a monetary penalty, and he wakes up and finds out that it actually went through to his actual bank account, and now he's broke. But he lives in an apartment filled with appliances that are on a pay-per-use basis, so nothing works anymore, and he's locked into his apartment because his lock is also doesn't function anymore. The only problem is that his toaster, the ejection system doesn't work, so now he's stuck with burning toasts that are filling up, there's smoke filling up his room, and the toaster is kind of extorting him, trying to trying to get him to pay with money he doesn't have. And in the end, so he basically gets into a lot of trouble from being broke.
How do you go about these ideas? Like, do they come while you take a shower, or like you go on a walk?
It's a lot of I think it's really random moments. It's a lot of different things. Like sometimes like getting an idea, it's like mishearing a conversation, like something somebody says and it's like, oh, that would actually be better. Or also it's like, I don't know, seeing something else, like a film or like a story or something, and then, I don't know, thinking about it and twisting it or playing around with like the ideas that you can already find. But also sometimes it's, I don't know, super random situations I think of. I have to say though, for this project specifically, it's very inspired by this one scene in a Philip K. Dick book. It's called Ubik, and the whole book is about something completely else. But there's this one scene that I really loved. I think it's like the 3rd chapter, and it's basically about somebody being very bad with money, and then his apartment basically says no to him, or and it's very heavily inspired by that. But then I was like, it's such a pity this whole book is just about it's about something completely different, and there's this one I think gem of a scene in there that I really love. So I wanted to take that, and now I take it further, because in my book there's also spoiler alert, the character dies and gets into the afterlife, but is treated to a similar fate there. So yeah.
Wow. That's I don't know. I usually like. Do you keep notes, or do you just okay? Yeah, because that would be, I guess, hard to remember all of these ideas or things that you've read, things that you've thought of. I usually just kind of have an idea and let it gestate. Like if I still have it in 3-4 months, it means, okay, maybe I have to tell this story. Otherwise, I sort of let them go. If I don't remember them anymore, I guess that's not a good idea, But there are so many moments where it's true, you mishear something, or you misunderstand, or you see something and it feels like, oh, that's a cool idea for a scene, but I just never write it down.
No?
Yeah, no. It's just
respect.
I guess like you have FOMO of ideas, and Kirill just doesn't care.
Yeah.
yeah. No, but I think there's definitely value in kind of being able to let go, because in the end I think you do keep the ideas that are best, probably. But I was also wondering, because you have if I'm correct, it's Il Piccolo Cowboy, or how do is that the title?
It was Il Piccolo Cowboy Abruzzese, because I wanted to make it in Abruzzo. And now it will probably be Il Piccolo Cowboy Ticinese, because I think I'll make it in Ticino.
Ticino, nice. Okay.
Culturally appropriated the cowboy.
I was wondering, how did you get to that? Because I also really like that idea, and it's, I think, a very creative idea for a story. How did you come up with that one? Because it's also like, I don't know where you would start. Did you know there was going to be? I don't want to spoil it if I can or cannot.
Sure.
Did you know there was going to be a chase already, or did you know about like the kids and his passion for westerns? Or
I liked westerns a lot. I still like them, but I just wanted to make a western, and I thought, how could I make something that wouldn't be just the regular western with just cowboys somewhere else, like in America, and something that I could make here, or somewhere in Europe, where it was tangible. And I don't know why, but I thought of Don Quixote, and just
Yeah.
this guy who read too many books and wanted to be a knight, like in one of those. Oh, you're reading it right now.
Ah, wow,
Wow.
crazy.
I'm like, yeah, it's falling apart too, but
Wow.
I'm like at the very last part.
Yeah.
I have like 30 pages to go still.
Wow.
Crazy. Well, that's how the idea came. Now you will finish it and...
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, the funny thing is, I never really read it. I read maybe a part of it in school, but I never read the whole book. But I just knew about the concept, and I thought, well, maybe a kid who watches too many westerns and wants to be a cowboy could be an idea for that.
It's very nice. Yeah. Like I said, like you there's this idea already. Like in Don Quixote, the kind of in Don Quixote it's truly insanity that comes from being too obsessed with this. I think in your story it's a bit more subtle, but this obsession that turns into action basically. And I think but you made it your own. You fitted it into your own story. It's funny. I knew the story already, but never made the connection to Don Quixote. But it makes sense.
I mean, it was just kind of a brief idea that I had, and then I completely departed from it. I mean, I guess the spirit of it is still there, but it's much more, for I guess for families, that kind of audience.
It's very relatable. As a idea that you just, have an imagination, you want to try to chase it, you want to try to go, and like if you have the courage to do it. I mean, the idea itself is very relatable, I find, but it's also because everything you do, it reflects you, as a person.
For sure.
It's your passion for movies, actually.
But also just this idea of going away, because everybody around me is wants to leave. And I already left from Belarus to come here, and now I'm here, and everybody goes away. And so it's everybody wants to leave and go somewhere else to find work or a new life and so on. And that's sort of in my films, that's sort of present. And also in our first film that we made together, Limbo, which is about this guy who he was born in Russia, but he grew up here in Switzerland, and so he doesn't know where he belongs. I guess it's this search for belonging. Like I don't want to be this Italian farmer when I grow up. I want to be a cowboy. That's where I belong. So I want to go there. And
but Non Ti Sento is also not far from there, because I mean, in the end, it's just two friends coming to a place where one of them spent their it was the place that he actually comes from. So it's actually also that. I mean, we just noticed that it's. Both probably have immigrant backgrounds, and also because we live in this particular region of Switzerland where immigration is both like a background, because a lot of people in Switzerland in general are immigrants, and also it's a place where you go away from, usually, because there is not much to do for young people here in general. I would say either you're working in a bank or you just want to go out. So basically, I think these two things, it's something that reflect in both our things. But I just exactly. At least also Dangerous Virtue is also about that. I mean, it's also someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
that's very It's an interesting point, actually. Yeah, though there's a lot of what do you call it, like home searching.
Self-searching, also.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think also like the kind of romanticization. Thank you. Of like this other place, like this faraway place. I think is in the cowboy has this kind of romantic idea, but also I know maybe I don't know if it's super part of maybe it is part of Dangerous Virtue as well. I know it's at least like very fundamental to the process.
That's true, because it's about a guy trying to go to Beijing, but in the short film maybe it doesn't really like transpire that he's trying to reach Beijing to. Well, no, I think it's pretty clear that he's trying to escape from something and goes there.
The ring, I think, is good thing to do this.
But I guess if you look at your films. I mean, you can always psychoanalyze it and find maybe very different things depending on who you ask. But I was reading this book by Hitchcock, or not by Hitchcock, by Truffaut about Hitchcock.
It's an interview. Or...
The interview
Okay.
that he had with Hitchcock for like 10, 15 years. And he put it all in a book. And it is...
An interview of 15 years.
Yeah, like he just met him a bunch of times throughout the years and asked him about his career.
It's amazing, really.
Yeah,
if you
I
don't-
really recommend it. Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called
I think it's Truffaut about Hitchcock or something like this.
or Truffaut
Okay.
/ Hitchcock or something.
If you just search
Okay.
Truffaut Hitchcock, you find it because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really, it's just there.
And you can see there, you can see there in the book how even if Hitchcock is much more of a like technician in a way, like he wants to craft a film that is kind of, I guess people will watch, but isn't necessarily very philosophical or maybe doesn't really reflect on life in any like deep way, at least at first. Maybe it might look like that, but actually there's a lot there that comes from his background and his life, and I never really thought about Hitchcock as a person, let's say. I thought of him more, this director who made movies, but seeing him as a person also reveals a lot about his interests and why he made the films that he made. And that's always fascinating to me to reflect on your own films and or maybe on films of other directors. Do you see any pattern in your films, personally?
It's a good question. I think in the end it's inevitable that there isn't like going to be a part of you as a maker in the film. I think for me it's as I said, I feel like I've had, like both Puber Jimbo and Symbionts are pretty like different in a lot of things. They also maybe represent pretty different kind of sides of mine, but I think they both, as I said, there's like this journey. I like kind of exploration in a film, and I do like to also get back to like the David Lynch kind of process. I have to love the ideas that are in the film, and I think Puber Jimbo is a bit more has a bit more stronger like this idea relation to the idea than maybe Symbionts, but still the initial idea of Symbionts was also to kind of be able to give like to be able to get across this kind of journey through ideas, basically, of what life could be, different interpretations or different possible kind of possibilities of life or organic systems. And I think then also what connects both is that there's like an experimental approach to technique, or at least explorative, and that's something I just really like doing, I just have but I don't know if it's more than just I really have fun exploring techniques and finding like styles, and I think I don't know, and then the presence of ideas maybe over kind of like a what do you call it, like a traditional story structure is something that is probably present in most of my work. Yeah.
Okay.
But would you say in your like normal life, external from this side of you, is also present, or like actually how do you like approach also your life? Like, is your life your work? Is your life something else? Do you want to live except for what you do, or like when you make a movie it's just about that? Just because it's really also, I mean, just from that I would say that you live a lot, but I don't know. I just it's just a guess because it's also something that we see in a lot of different people, because there is people really focused on the craft, let's say, itself and stuff. There is people who are focused on just making experiences, and I mean, in the end, it's also reflected in your stories. It's what you talk about.
It's a good question. I don't know how my life relates to my films, because both are very strange. Like, I think Symbionts fully tries to get away from like human kind of human experience almost, because it tries to really posit this other reality, this kind of, I don't know, alien reality. And then QUIRIJN is a bit more, I think, maybe relate, or like it's more human in essence. I think maybe alienation is like, it's not like I'm like alienated from society, but kind of being but sometimes I think reality can be alienating in some way, and I think that definitely plays a role. Also, kind of, I think maybe this is too analytical. Maybe it's not even true, but I might guess that, like, I used to, when I was young, my parents did a lot of traveling. Like every year we went, or not every year, but every 2 years, for instance, we went pretty far for quite a long time. So we would, it was for my parents' work basically, but we when I was like 7, we went to Tasmania for 2 months, and then when I was 9, we went to Canada, and then India, and Japan and China as well. And so I think with the travels and the exploring of places, I think that might be something that kind of found its way into what I like in film. And then also I just have, I really love weirdness and strangeness. I don't fully know why, but I really enjoy film as a medium to create strangeness or absurd realities, and I really love it when like a film can get you at like gradually at some point where it gets very absurd, but you somehow got there following the full story, or following the line. And then kind of at some point you're like, oh, this is really weird actually, what's going on now. But you somehow, the film led you there or guided you there. And now you're at this very strange space. And yeah, I don't know, that's something that I enjoy. I don't know actually how it relates to my life, but yeah. Maybe it does somehow, yeah.
But you I don't know about that. I didn't know you traveled so much, but now you're in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah.
And do you plan on staying there for your films? Do you plan on how is the film industry in the Netherlands? Does it permit you to keep working there in this industry?
Yeah, so I'm also I'm still like very much orienting myself as well in the film landscape. I think so there is like a Dutch film fund, which I've heard is like quite good, but also like for instance, I mean, it's not the French film fund, and I know also Belgium has a very good film fund. And so I'm basically here now because I also have my girlfriend lives here as well, and I don't know, like I don't necessarily had like a very specific destination that was next, and I thought I will just try the Netherlands now. And also, I think it's convenient because it's still close to Belgium, and I know I still have like a network there from my previous school, and so yeah, it was basically I didn't come here very consciously, but I think I'm trying to make it work here. But yeah, I'm also not like super. I'm personally not super bound to like a specific place. Yeah.
You're just bound to ideas.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You're just bound to ideas, not to places.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I was also wondering, you're both living in Ticino now?
Well, that's, I mean, yes. For me, it's the same as for you. I mean, now I'm here, but I don't know how will future look like. Also, because here it's a bit hard. Especially with commercials and stuff like that, which is like the world I'm trying to get in right now. But I mean, yeah. In the end, today is more connected than ever, and also, I mean, it's just the beginning of our journey anyway. So.
Yeah.
Well, if I could stay here, I would stay here forever. I like Ticino very much. But it's true that in terms of filmmaking, the opportunities sometimes are there, sometimes aren't there. But I hope that I can at least find something, I don't know, maybe even remotely that I can still do while staying here. Because I've already kind of went from Belarus to here, and I don't want to move around for the rest of my life. And I do find a sense of belonging here that I do not find anywhere else. And so if I could stay here, both work and live here, that would be great. Yeah. But
I hope you do.
I also.
No, but I like that Europe is sort of more connected in the sense that you can also work with filmmakers from other countries or film industries from other countries, and we can also connect this way and talk about our films. But I don't think I have any more questions. Do you have any?
Yeah, I think we actually went through all of the things much more clearly and then we had in mind.
But no, it was great to have you on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very honored to have been part of this. It was a very nice conversation.
And, we enjoyed it very much as well, and we wish you all the best for the festival run of your film Symbionts.
Thank you. I mean, yours too. It's normally Cento. Are you still sending it out, or
a little bit?
Yes.
Especially regional festivals or in Switzerland somewhere. So we'll see where it goes. Otherwise, we'll go to all the little towns and ask like, okay, do you want to see this film? We can show it in the square.
That was actually an idea, that because it's a film that could really fit this kind of
I think so too.
Also because this also came from an idea we just saw, like a friend group that played cello in the center of a small town square with a guy also actor, enacting the piece that they were showing, and it really inspired us to why not show a film there as well. They put a whole show. We could just place a projector, much easier.
Absolutely. I think it would be a very fitting context to show the film. I think it would work very well.
Yeah, because it was made in a mountain village, so it's full of mountain villages here. We can show.
We'll take it there. If they don't take us, we'll take the film to them. So that's the philosophy.
You can just go by car and show up randomly.
Today we have the film.
All right.
But really, thank you for being with us. And I mean, for the spectators, if you have the chance to go to Annecy, please go.
Yeah, and see the film. At the festival in June. So
in June, and else, I mean, thank you again.
Thank you.
we see each other in the next episode.